Some people are exquisitely polite all day and strangely sharp the moment they get home. A coworker gets patience, a stranger gets the careful version. Then the person who knows them best asks an ordinary question and receives the answer with the most edge. It can look like love has made kindness less important. Often, something more specific is happening. The safest relationship is receiving stress that began somewhere else. Picture the end of a long day. One adult enters carrying a deadline, a difficult commute, or a problem that has not been solved. Another asks, "Did you remember the appointment?" The words are small. The nervous system hearing them is already crowded. "I said I would handle it" comes out harder than intended. Nobody has named the pressure, so the room has to explain the tone by itself. One useful framework is spillover. Daily diary research has found associations between daily stress and same-day conflict in couples. Other work has linked work, home, and relationship stress with mother-child conflict. These findings do not mean that stress automatically causes a fight, or that every cruel sentence began outside the family. They support a narrower idea. Strain in one part of life can shape interaction in another. Under strain, attention narrows. Ambiguous words become easier to hear as criticism. A request can feel like one more demand. A delay can feel like disrespect. This does not excuse the response, and it is not a diagnosis. It describes a moment when the mind is trying to reduce load, often by simplifying the scene into something it can act on quickly. Threat, blame, retreat, or control. Home can intensify this because familiarity changes the social cost. Outside, we monitor tone because a customer can complain, a colleague can remember, and a stranger can walk away. Inside, we may assume the relationship will survive the impact. Safety quietly becomes confused with cost-free access. But a secure relationship is not an unlimited place to unload. It is a place where honesty should require less performance, not less care. Now watch what one sentence does. The partner stops asking about the appointment and starts defending their intention. The teenager in the doorway decides whether to enter. The younger child studies the table. The original problem has barely changed, but the room has. Everyone is using attention to predict the next emotional move. Understanding becomes expensive. Self-protection becomes efficient. Children do not need the details of an adult disagreement to notice its structure. They notice volume, posture, silence, and whether repair ever arrives. Research on destructive and constructive interparental conflict does not reduce every family to one pattern. It does underline a useful distinction. Conflict itself is not the only signal. How adults carry it, contain it, and repair it also changes what the family experiences. 3 substitutions often make these moments worse. First, stress becomes blame. "I am overloaded" turns into "you are the problem." Second, familiarity becomes certainty. "I know you" turns into "I know why you did that." Third, authority becomes protection of rank. A question is treated as disobedience because control feels easier than explanation. These are editorial patterns, not labels for a person. Their shared feature is that the sentence stops describing a problem and starts defining someone. Naming the mechanism should increase responsibility, not erase it. "I was stressed" can explain why the edge appeared. It cannot make the edge harmless. A useful explanation opens a repair. A convenient excuse closes one. The goal is not to prove that the speaker is secretly good. The goal is to make the next interaction safer, clearer, and more accurate than the last one. The first repair move is to name the source without making the listener the target. Try. "I am carrying a lot from work, and I can hear it entering my voice. This is not about you." That sentence does 3 jobs. It locates the strain, takes ownership of the tone, and gives the other person information they should not have to guess. The second move is to ask for a pause with a return time. "I need 20 minutes, and I will come back at 7. A pause without return can feel like abandonment or punishment. A return time turns distance into a plan. If the conversation cannot safely continue, longer distance may be necessary, but when a short pause is available, its purpose is regulation, not victory. The third move is to repair the sentence, not just the intention. "That came out harsh" is more useful than "you know what I meant." Intent describes the speaker's private experience. Impact describes what entered the room. Repair begins when both are allowed to exist, The person who was hurt does not have to deny the impact in order to accept the explanation. Then return with one observable fact and one request. The appointment is tomorrow. Can we look at the calendar after dinner? Facts reduce the space for mind reading. A request gives the other person something they can answer. Avoid the courtroom version. Every old grievance, every global word, every motive presented is certain. Solve the next piece that is actually in front of you. None of this requires someone to remain in a conversation that feels unsafe. A pause is not forced forgiveness. An explanation is not permission for repeated intimidation, threats, or harm. If safety is at risk, distance, outside support, and firmer boundaries matter more than completing a perfect repair script. The practical sequence belongs to ordinary moments where people have enough safety and choice to use it. The people we love will sometimes see the unpolished version of us. Intimacy makes that possible. It does not make cruelty honest. Before pressure becomes personality, name where it came from. Before tone becomes the message, ask for time. Then come back and repair what actually landed. The people closest to us should not keep paying the emotional bill for pressures they did not create.